Let's talk about something that can feel incredibly overwhelming. You have a health condition, it's making your job impossible, and suddenly you hear the word disability. What does that even mean? Where do you start? Today, we're going to demystify that whole process, step by step. And to do that, we're going to follow the story of someone named Mrs. Brown. She's 58, she's been a certified nursing assistant for 20 years, a physically demanding job. Now, severe knee osteoarthritis is making her work just about impossible. A relative says, hey, you should apply for disability. And just like that, Mrs. Brown is at a crossroads that so many people face, and she has no idea which way to turn.
So what does applying for disability actually entail? We're going to stick with Ms. Brown's journey to break down the tricky definitions, the confusing agencies, and all that paperwork so you can really get a handle on how this all works.
Okay, first things first, we have to understand the language. In the world of benefits and claims, disability isn't just a casual word. Oh no, it is a technical term with a very, very precise definition. And you know what? Getting this right is the foundation for absolutely everything that comes next.
It turns out disability isn't just one thing. The official framework actually breaks it down into 3 distinct dimensions, like a chain reaction. It starts with an impairment, which leads to an activity limitation, which then leads to a participation restriction. Let's see how this plays out for Ms. Brown. So it all starts with what's called an impairment. This is the medical diagnosis, right? The structural or functional problem with the body. For Ms. Brown, that's her knee osteoarthritis. This is the root cause, the what of her condition.
Okay, so that impairment then causes an activity limitation. This is where the medical stuff starts to spill over into daily life. We're not even talking about work yet. For Ms. Brown, this means she has a hard time with simple, everyday tasks like carrying a laundry basket up the stairs or just getting in and out of the bathtub. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, participation restriction. This is the big one. This is when those daily limitations get so bad they stop you from fulfilling a major life role. And for most of us, that means our job. For Mrs. Brown, she can't lift patients anymore. She can't stand for long periods. She simply can't do her job as a CNA. So you see the chain, impairment, to limitation, to restriction.
All right, so we've got the lingo down. What's next? Well, now you've got to navigate this maze of different agencies and programs. There are a bunch of different paths you can take, and believe me, choosing the right one from the get-go is absolutely critical.
Let's just quickly break down the main players here. You've got Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI. That's for folks who've worked and paid their Social Security taxes. Then there's SSI, which is for people with very limited income. You've also got FMLA, which gives you unpaid leave but protects your job, and of course, Workers' Comp, which is only for injuries that happened at work. As you can see, they each serve a totally different purpose.
Now for Miss Brown, with her solid 20-year work history and all those Social Security taxes she's paid, the choice is pretty clear. She and her doctor figure out that SSDI is the right program for her. And that's great for us because it lets us really zoom in on what that specific application process looks like.
This leads us to a super important person in this whole process, the doctor. Now, there's a common myth that your doctor can just put you on disability. That is just not how it works. A doctor's job isn't to make the decision. Their role is to provide the objective, factual medical evidence. It's the agency, in this case, the Social Security Administration, that makes the final call. So what does providing objective evidence actually look like? Well, it's a very methodical process. The doctor is basically a detective. They document your full medical history, they do a physical exam, they review all your x-rays and lab work, and, this is key, they assess how your condition impacts your real-world functional abilities.
Think of it like this. The doctor is collecting clues. For Ms. Brown, they're not writing opinions. They're documenting observable facts. Things like bony hypertrophy. That's a physical change in her knee. Or an antalgic gait. That means she's walking in a way that shows she's in pain. And the x-rays? They confirm moderate to severe damage. These are cold, hard facts. And then the doctor connects those medical facts to her real-world limitations. And notice how this list covers everything, both her job, like lifting patients, and her life at home, like struggling with the stairs. This paints a full 360-degree picture of how her impairment impacts her entire life.
Okay, this is the moment where it all comes together. We have Miss Brown's personal experience, we have her doctor's objective medical evidence. The final step is to connect those dots directly to the official checklist used by the Social Security Administration. So let's just boil down Mrs. Brown's case to the 3 most essential points. 1. She has documented chronic joint pain. 2.
her X-rays show a clear physical anatomic abnormality. And 3, her problems are severe and they're going to last more than a year. Got those 3 things? Okay, hold on to them.
Now, take a look at this. This is the actual checklist from the Social Security Administration for her specific condition. An applicant needs chronic joint pain, an anatomic abnormality on imaging, and limitations lasting at least 12 months. Does that sound a little familiar?
It's a perfect match. See? That whole systematic evaluation by the doctor, it wasn't random at all. It was designed specifically to collect the exact evidence needed to tick every single box on the agency's list. That's the real power of good documentation. It builds a bridge between a person's reality and the system's rules.
So when you break it all down, you can see the logic behind the system. But let's be real, that doesn't make it any less of a brutal journey for someone like Miss Brown. The system demands this incredible level of precision right when people are at their most vulnerable. And that really leaves us with a final question to think about. What's one way this whole process could be made just a little bit simpler for the people who need it the most?